Welcome to Light Her Up, your go-to podcast for exploring what it means to align with your passions and create a life filled with freedom, ease, and fulfillment. I'm your host, Natalie Bernacki, a mom, entrepreneur, and certified coach who left a 15-year corporate career to build a life aligned with my passions and help other women do the same. We'll be diving deep into topics like self-discovery, mindset shifts, and the courage to pursue the life you've always dreamed of. Thank you for being here and for prioritizing yourself. I'm honored to be a part of your journey. If you're ready to find your joy, reclaim your identity, and upgrade your life, you're in the right place. Now let's light it up. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Light Her Up podcast. Today's episode is so special to me because I'm joined by two incredible women who I met during a very transformative season in my life. Megan Liken and Natalie Puglisi. Megan Liken is a mindset coach, and she helps women reset their identity and reconnect with themselves through one-on-one coaching, deep connection workshops, and women's circles. Natalie Puglisi is an online attorney, and she empowers entrepreneurs with legal strategies to protect both their brands and their businesses. So we all met at the Quantum Expansion Experience Retreat in Sedona, hosted by Ashley Gordon, back in September of 2024. And at the time, every single woman in there, including the three of us, we were walking huge life transitions. And that retreat, that container cracked us wide open. I mean, raw to the core, cracked the fuck open. So fast forward to a few weeks ago, we reunited again at another retreat hosted by Ashley Gordon, her Quantum Expansion Experience retreat that she hosts. And this time it was in West Palm Beach, Florida. And on that trip, we realized how much we have expanded, how much we've healed, how much we have evolved since that first trip in Sedona. So this conversation is going to be a full circle moment. We're diving into powerful transformations we witnessed in ourselves and each other, and how you can create your own massive expansion too. So I'm so excited to have you meet them. And before we dive in, I want to remind you that if you are ready to own your own expansion, we are bringing our 2 times sold out in-person masterminds online. So if you're ready to launch, scale, or grow your business, this is for you. If you're craving real support, high-level strategy, and a room full of women who are done playing small, this is for you. No more shrinking, no more waiting. It is time to turn your big vision into your reality. So get on the wait list now. The link is in the show notes. Hi, Megan and Natalie. Welcome to the Light Her Up podcast. I am so excited to have you both here.
Thanks
So
for
good to
having
be
us.
here.
So for the listeners, they may be thinking like, how do we know each other? Megan and Natalie are both coaches. Natalie P, well, there's 2 Natalies here. Natalie P is an attorney. Like, how did we all meet? So we all met at a retreat in Sedona in 2024 that was called the Quantum Expansion Experience, put on by the fabulous Ashley Gordon. And we had an Airbnb that some of the girls did separately. It wasn't like included in the retreat for that one. And we ended up all being in the same Airbnb, going through this wild transformation together. And then fast forward to just a few weeks ago in April 2025, we went on Ashley's second retreat, not her second retreat, our second retreat of Ashley's Quantum Expansion Experience in West Palm Beach, Florida. And we just had some really, really good conversations, the three of us, about our experience with the first retreat and sort of our transformation, witnessing each other's transformation. And we had a lot of realizations that came up on this second retreat. So I want to just have a conversation around it, share with the listeners about our experience with the retreat and our transformation. So amazing. So let's start out by introducing yourselves. So Natalie, can you share a little bit about who you are and what you do today?
Yeah, so I'm an online business attorney. Um, I have always been an attorney. I've always wanted to be an attorney. It was like pretty much the first manifestation of my life ever. I just never wanted to be anything else. And I originally started working for a small local law firm, and they had come to me and said, "Hey, we're preparing for retirement, so you got to find something else to do," basically. And it forced me into opening up my own law firm. And I had never wanted to be an entrepreneur ever. I didn't feel like I had that bone in my body. But I eventually figured it out. And I realized that if I had zero idea how to implement the legal in my business, because when I started, I came from a bankruptcy law firm. So I had no idea any of the business side of it. And they don't prep you in law school. And one of the things that I invested in very early on in my business was Ashley's very first mastermind. So I've been in her world for quite some time. And she really had that mastermind really blended a lot of like the business growth with the power of manifestation. And, that was kind of my first like introduction into that. So now I primarily work with clients that I love that are in businesses that are soul aligned. I work online, which I love. Majority of my clients aren't in the same state as me, which I think is just so wonderful. And that really led me to meet, an amazing community of women and an amazing community of other entrepreneurs such as yourselves. And I'm sure we'll circle back to that. But I feel very, very lucky and very blessed to do what I do and to be able to surround myself with women like you guys. So I'm going to get emotional, but that's what I
Oh,
do.
I know we always say, "Oh, I don't think we're gonna cry," and then we start crying. So I love it. Let it out. And one of the things that I've told you this before, Natalie, that really resonated with me was when I was starting my business and I was going to get my legal things in order for my business. You had mentioned that, getting your trademark and putting all of these things in order, whatever actions you're doing for your business, is really telling the universe, like, you're ready for this. You're, from a legal standpoint, protecting yourself. You're ready. You're setting the foundation. And just in general, every other action that you take as actions towards building your business, you're just aligning with the universe and telling the universe, like, I'm ready. So that just
Yeah,
resonated with me so much. And I think about that all the time. So thank you.
thank you.
And Megan, can you share a little bit about who you are, what you do today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, Natalie, you were saying like you never saw um or anticipated being an entrepreneur, and I feel like I had a completely different experience. I feel like I've been trying to like break into entrepreneurship like my whole life. Like, I tried to follow the rules and like go to college and have like a successful corporate job, but I don't have the personality for it. I've always just had a lot of like very strong opinions, and I like had a lot of ideas that I've wanted to pursue. And like prior to coaching, I did a little bit of consulting. But now, um, it's a little bit in flux, but I consider myself an identity and mindset coach. I do take on one-on-one clients, but something that resonates with me a little bit more is this idea of being like a community builder, a facilitator. And so, outside of working with one on one clients here in Arizona, I also facilitate some women's groups and also some like they're called authentic relating circles. And really, it's about kind of fostering connection and being present with your emotions. So it's something I've recently started to explore, but feels like a really good fit. And I hope over the next year to start launching some retreats that kind of combine like lots of my skills.
Yes. And I just have to say, Megan, we're going to touch on this a little later in the episode, but you are an incredible facilitator. Like,
Hmm.
I just can't even put into words the experience that I've both witnessed of your transformation and how you were able to share that with the women as part of the second retreat, which we're definitely going to get into. But if you are a listener, if you're listening and you're lucky enough to be in one of Megan's circles, just wait. Like, just wait, because she is
Yeah.
freaking so good at what she does. So,
Thank you so much. I received that so hard.
yes.
Well,
Okay.
and can I say really quickly, like,
Yeah.
just because so I don't forget, but like, Megan, your ability to take your experience and transform it in a way that other people can experience. I know it wasn't the same experience for us, but to be able to like get so much out of it is profound. So many people can have an experience like you had and what we got to witness and not have the ability to allow people to step through that same door. And your ability to do that like blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind.
Thank you. I want to comment on something about that real quickly before we jump in. But it's what's so interesting is I've really been bumping up against this idea of like, as you guys know, like there's certain rules about coaching and how we operate. And I was feeling a lot of like shame about kind of following the rules in coaching, where my whole life I've been told like the stories I tell, like my life experiences have impact on others. And I'm really just starting to embrace that. Like, I don't have to specifically coach someone in the traditional sense to make an impact on their life. So, like, I'm just getting more comfortable with sharing my story and allowing that to be enough.
More than enough. Like, truly, it's
Yeah.
incredible. So thank you for sharing your gifts with the world. Okay, so Megan, when you were thinking about this retreat, firstly, I know that you were previously having this very nomadic life, traveling, world traveler, like going all the places, doing all the things. But what called you to say yes to this retreat in Sedona in September of 2024?
That's a good question because it's like so benign. Like like it was like a very practical decision. I was going through quantum mastery and it was like, which is their facilitation program. And I was still kind of working on my public speaking and my facilitation skills. And I just didn't feel like my personality translated that well, like online. And I was like, oh, this is a really good opportunity to like meet Ashley in person and just feel a little bit more comfortable. And then on top of that, I was going to like a mushroom retreat the week prior, and I was like, I don't know, I'll already be in Sedona, so like it makes sense. So like I literally had so little expectations. I was like, I just want to feel comfortable in front of Ashley. Like
Yeah. That's amazing.
yeah.
Okay. And Natalie, oh, my dog is choking on something. I'm sorry. Um, this dog is just going to
Is
be,
is the dog on your lap right now?
yes, he is.
Oh.
Speaking of
Churro.
breaking all the rules, I'm like, well, I didn't know what like like professional podcasters do. And for me, it's having my dog sit on my lap, chewing and toy and
Does he help
choking.
ground you when you're speaking?
Does he what?
Help ground you?
Sometimes. And sometimes he creates chaos. So just depends. So Natalie, what made you say yes to the first retreat in Sedona?
I mean, truthfully, Ashley didn't give me a choice. She had
That is very
so
Ashley coded.
yes, so we were working one-on-one together and she was like, I'm putting on this retreat, you should totally come. And I was like, I don't know, like all the normal excuses, right? Like I don't want to leave my kids. I don't know if I have if it's in my budget, like all the normal things. And then one day she sent me a message and she's like, I put your name on the list. Like, and I was like, what? And she's like, you're coming, like, buy a plane ticket. You're doing this. Like, you'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And so it basically was just the decision was made for me. And I know we're going to get into this really quick in a second, but like, Megan, listening to your story and like hearing about how pragmatic it was for you to join the retreat. Natalie, I'm not sure exactly what called you to Sedona, but I think it's so amazing and profound. And like, this is going to sound maybe super obvious to the woo woo listeners out there, and I'm woo woo too. It's not that, but it's amazing. Like the women that showed up to that retreat couldn't have been more perfect. And like all the things that had to align for all of us to get there. And I know that we feel that, and probably the listeners won't really grasp that in the same way that we do. But that retreat couldn't have been any better. Like everybody that was meant to be there was there 1,000,000%. And I
Mhm.
just was thinking about that, Megan, when you were talking about how you ended up there. I'm like, thank God you went. Thank God
Yeah.
we all went, like, because
I
we
feel like
contributed to each other's experience.
Yeah.
it definitely felt like very divinely guided. And I feel like when people ask, like, I'm like, oh yeah, like I was on my like spiritual journey and I was gonna be cracked open, and I was like, no, I just like my mom lives in Arizona. It was like an easy trip. Like it seemed like a good like bonding connection
Yeah.
experience. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Natalie,
but
what called you to join?
So I was in Ashley Gordon's Quantum Coaching Academy, that cohort during that Sedona retreat. So July 2024 to December 2024. And I was having like a little bit of FOMO because I'm like, okay, she makes it sound so good. And I just love Ashley and she over delivers in everything she does. So I'm like, okay, her retreat's probably going to be like pretty bomb. And I'm from Arizona. So, like, Arizona just has a special place in my heart. I live in LA and it's like a pretty easy drive. I do it all the time. And my mom had recently passed away right before that retreat. So she passed away, not right before, she passed away in November of 2023. And then we actually laid her to rest in Prescott in April of 2024. And Prescott, Arizona is like the neighboring town to Sedona. So during that whole experience of like laying her to rest in in April of 2024, there were just people there. And I don't know how to explain this, but if you've ever had anyone close to you pass away and you have to like put on a service or a funeral or something, you're kind of like, for me, I was like not myself. Like I had to put on this face of like, I'm putting
Mhm.
this together. And I didn't get to like really just grieve and let go. And my kids were with me. It was a whole thing. Like I wanted them to know it's okay to grieve, but I also didn't want to just be completely out of control. So when I heard that it was going to be in Sedona, I was like, this is kind of perfect. I can go, I can be in all this energy that I love so much because I'm currently in Ashley's cohort and she's amazing. And I can also visit my mom. And so I went to go visit her, and it was like a cathartic release paired with this insane retreat transformation. Like it was, I mean, we'll get into it, but like mind blowing. And I cried the whole 7 hours driving home from Sedona to LA after it wrapped because it was like a good cry, like a really good cathartic, like releasing. I know that I've just shed these layers of me that I no longer have to carry with me. And I truly wholeheartedly agree with what you said, Natalie and Megan, about how every single person at that retreat was meant to be there because we were all going through something really significant in our lives. Either it just happened, it was about to happen, or it actually happened while we were on the trip. And we
Mhm.
all were there for a specific reason to support each other. And every single person like did not hold back. Every single person went 100% all in. And Megan, I think you mentioned this when we were chatting in Florida that we just had to drop in so fast. Like we got there, we went to the retreat. This was a little different because this retreat was like the accommodations you had to do on your own. So a group of us stayed in an Airbnb, whereas like this one in Florida, there was a retreat house. So we were all together. And I think just that experience alone, like you go in that room where the retreat um, embodiment practices were happening, and it was just like you had to drop in really fast. And then we were like that for 3 full days.
I think that
Yeah.
like it like attributes to Ashley's the space that Ashley holds and like her facilitation skills, but also kind of what we had grown to expect out of like a QCA experience. Like I know Natalie P, you hadn't gone through QCA, but you've been coached through Ashley, and just the way that like you're just open to exploring those depths. So we like already kind of like had that like anticipation, like we're just gonna like ride this wave, and like everyone, it was just really cool to witness because everyone just dropped in and surrendered to the experience, no matter like how like weird or uncomfortable it went, and then like just Sedona's magic. Sedona has its
Yeah.
own energy like vortexes that like I'm sure is like contributing to that.
Totally. Oh my gosh. And you know what's so crazy too? I'm thinking about this. When we first got to Sedona and we all went to that house, the Airbnb, everyone was kind of like figuring out what they're going to do, go grab something to eat, whatever, before the actual experience started, like before Ashley started facilitating. And the three of us went to lunch and we grabbed lunch and we were just chatting, getting to know each other. And Megan, I'll never forget, we were chatting about coaching and because I was still going to like through this program to become a coach. And you made me have this realization that was like really profound, where you were like, yeah, all of the people that you coach outside of QCA are not just going to be ready to like pour their heart and soul into sharing everything, because that's the experience that I have with these other coaches. And to your point, like in this retreat container, it almost was so perfect that everyone was already in Ashley's world because everyone was primed and ready to just crack open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so interesting. So, looking back now, Megan, I know you said like the reason why you went into this retreat or why you said yes was because you just so happened to be in Arizona and it was just easy, that kind of thing. But what season of life were you personally walking through when we met in Sedona?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So where I was in September of 2024, it was about 3 months after I had quit my corporate job. I had a very toxic corporate job, and I had spent the summer. I was recently certified. I had spent the summer traveling, and like a month before the retreat, I had just spent some time in Mexico freezing my eggs. Like I was just in this state of letting things in my life that were no longer serving me kind of fall away. I was taking intentional risks of things that were like sparking my interest or yeah, I guess just like sparking my interest or felt like it would contribute to building my dream life. And I was just very like receptive. I really like it was the first time this wasn't the first time I had quit my job to like start my own business, but this was the first time where I was like, this requires me to go all in. And I feel like experiences like this are going to help contribute or like facilitate that quicker. So like that's kind of where the mindset I was in.
Love that. And yeah, I could totally feel that from you when you were there too.
I was like, everyone keeps saying you just have to like trust the process and surrender. And I'm like, all right, like let's do this then.
You're like, I'm throwing myself in. Here we go. Oh my gosh. And what about for you, Natalie? Like, what season of life were you personally walking through?
I hmm. Um, I was in a really like business focused like time of my life. And I don't know if that makes sense necessarily, but I had spent basically all of 2024 feeling like there was like this buzzing inside of me, like feeling like, and for me, feeling like, okay, this is my next level. Like, this is like what's gonna, like, I'm just like, I'm buzzing until like I catapult. Like, that's what my thought was. Not realizing that in Sedona, that it wasn't a buzzing of excitement and it wasn't a buzzing of motivation or like a bit like an energetic buildup. It was anxiety. And
Mm.
I like literally did not put that together. And I had been coaching one on one with Ashley, and I'm sure that she felt that. And I'm sure that's why she was like, you're coming on this retreat. Um, I thought that I was like preparing for the next level. I didn't realize that I needed to shed before I got to the next level. And I know that we're going to get into all that. I said this like so many times, but like Sedona really was about a breaking down, and Florida was really about a building up. And I know that we all felt that way. And so I was in a season of life of like just high anxiety and like high functioning anxiety, like not knowing that that's really what I was going through. And not knowing that I needed this like this cracking open, shedding, like traumatizing, like this experience to really break through that, because when I had felt that buzzing up until the last day of the retreat, and when I left, I didn't realize, but like on my drive home, or on my drive from Sedona into Phoenix, I stayed with a girlfriend that night, and that whole drive, I was like, I don't feel that buzzing anymore, and I'm like, oh, that was a bad thing. Okay.
Wow. So you shed that there. You think you just
Yeah,
like left that behind.
I haven't felt it since.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
really powerful. That's
I was gonna
crazy.
say that resonates so deeply for me. Like that buzzing, I think is something that I coexisted with, like, I don't know, my
Mhm.
entire 30s. Like it's this anxiety, this like apprehension, this like control. And like similar to you, as I navigate life changes right now, I've had an absence of that buzzing, that anxiety, and I'm like, oh shit. What is this
Wow.
new feeling or like absence of anxiety? And like the more I think about it, I'm like, it's self-trust, which I didn't have before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think like it's easy to, as women, to feel that and feel like, okay, this is something that I'm gonna like, it's an empowering, like that's, I think, naturally what we think, right? Like, I can do it all, I can be it all. This is just like the energy inside of me, and not always recognizing that it's not necessarily a positive thing. Not, I mean, not to give it a label, positive or negative, but for me, I thought it was like this, like, oh, it's this buildup. It's this, like, not realizing that on the inside, like, it was this, right? It was like this tense up. Yeah. I thought it was like, oh, I'm a, I'm a mom, I'm a woman. Like, this is like, I do everything, right? Like, because females, we do it all. And, especially as an entrepreneur, and not realizing that that's really not what it was at all.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's a big thing to let go too. And yeah, I think we all came to that retreat with some heavy stuff. Like so for me, I had gone through just a significant amount of loss. And so I lost my mom, so I lost a physical, person in my life. And I lost one of my best friends, not from like she didn't pass away, but that relationship was no more due to various things. I was having like a really big falling out with my brother because of my mom's passing. I was really coming to terms, as you all know, in Sedona with my corporate career and really wanting to leave that. And so it was sort of like this mourning of not only people, but also of this like identity that I had because I had tied so much of who I was and my worth and my value to this person who I was in my career for over 15 years. And so it just going to that retreat, I realized all of that. And like, it was just like, I can't even put it into words. It's just so crazy. Like, all of the things that I was holding on to and the loss, and how I don't think that I allowed myself to really acknowledge that losing a relationship or relationships is almost sometimes as like painful as losing an actual like human being, so that was all really profound. And so Natalie, when you're thinking about your biggest breakthrough and transformation in Sedona, do you think that it was losing that anxiety feeling, like kind of like shedding that and letting it go, or what do you think was your biggest transformation?
Well, I think, first and foremost, I don't know that any of us came to the retreat with acknowledgement of what we wanted to process. But truly, every single person there processed some sort of trauma. And what I think is the most amazing thing about that is that at the very end, we all clearly named our trauma,
Mhm.
um, and felt safe in a space to do so. And not only in a space to do so, but in a space with other women where it's very easy to be judged by other women, and that was really amazing to me. I don't think that anyone came there like, I'm going to process this trauma there, but everybody went through some deep, deep stuff. So for me, I lost my mom in 2009. I did not process her passing. She went into the ICU on a Sunday. I took the bar exam that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and went to see her Thursday night into Friday, and she passed away that Friday. And I held a lot of guilt about taking the bar exam. Although when I talked to her on Monday, I was like, I'm not going to take it. I want to be here with you. And she was like, if you show up here, you're going to be like, you're taking that damn bar exam. You've studied so long. But she passed away on Friday. I was back at work on Monday. And
Mm.
Natalie, you talked about like kind of being on display when you're at when you're like a family member, at someone's memorial. And I did feel that way for sure. And I also felt like, I don't know, and I was young when my mom passed, and I felt like almost like a badge of honor, like I could go back to work on Monday. Like I'm good. I, cried all weekend, like I processed it, back to work, no big deal. And nobody questioned it. Not
Mm-hmm.
one person in my life was like, "Are you sure?" Um, and since then I'd lost my grandparents, and I dealt with their passing a lot differently. I literally was in bed for days, weeks with my grandmother. Just I really, really processed their death differently, and it allowed me that reflection. But I never processed my mom's death. And so when we went to Sedona, which I know that you girls know this, but my dog um, was passing at home. And I had gotten her the year that my mom passed away as my companion. I had gotten two dogs, but she was the first one that I got. Her name was Mango.
Oh.
And I wanted to go home. I wanted to leave the retreat. I didn't want to stay there. And in a similar fashion, my husband was like, "You better not come home." Like she clearly did not want me to be home for her to pass. But I didn't realize that. So Sedona really allowed me the space to grieve,
Mm-hmm.
but in that grief, a door had opened that allowed me to experience and move through all the other hurt and trauma that I was experiencing as well. And part of that was my mom's passing. And I think, you know, I couldn't hold back these tears for my pet. And that really allowed me, and like the anger of not being able to be there and all the things that came with it. And so Sedona really allowed me to move through not like several, like my pet, my mom, and identity, this anxiety, like everything just kind of culminated into this perfect space where I could process it. And everyone else was crying, everyone else was yelling, everyone else was screaming, everyone else was moving through stuff. So I felt really safe to do that. Not knowing that like everyone else was in their own stages of processing their traumas as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that, like, we were roommates on our trip, so I remember that
yeah.
really, um, visibly, like, I can just actually remember that really clearly, and it's so also amazing how many parallels there were between the story of your mother passing and also your dog, and I don't know, like, again, like, the universe just comes in such incredible ways to show you things about you and how your dog really like waited for you to go. And then hearing the story about how your mom told you, no, you better go take that bar exam. And it sounds like she waited for you to come back,
Yeah.
you know? So it's really powerful what the soul knows and how they can hang on until like they're ready. So
Hmm.
it's just really amazing, and I'm glad that you got to process that and go through that because that's a lot to carry.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and it was also really, like you were saying with your children, like it was really nice to be able to do that away from them because you do kind of hold back a little bit for them. And again, not, my kids have seen me cry a million times.
yeah.
I don't shy away from that, but it's a different level of emotional processing when it's grief. And I'm glad I got the space to do that away from my kids.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. And what about you, Megan? What was the biggest breakthrough or transformation that you had at that retreat in Sedona?
Yeah, I had a few. But Natalie, as you were sharing like that experience of grieving amongst us all, it makes me um just like highlight when everyone's like in that state of vulnerability and like you could we were all like kind of operating on the same frequency. Like I could feel everyone's pain and it was like bringing up stuff that like, I had pushed down like way before that I didn't even know still existed within me. But um I would say what I released in Sedona was a ton of shame. Um that I sort of knew was holding me back in a lot of ways, like because I knew that like I was aware of like my fear of being seen and like how I wanted to emerge as a coach. I didn't realize there was so much like shame and people pleasing and this like I'm going to say like performer identity that still existed within me. And so I like there's a couple different ways how I release that. I don't know if now is like a good time to talk about like the mirror exercise or
Yeah, absolutely. That was like from our witnessing a humongous transformation, so and breakthrough.
I just like like just the way that specific I mean, there was so many good activities that we did earlier on. Like one of my earlier favorite ones was like performing like your dick, like your
Yeah.
deepest inner critic. And like so like I was like moving towards that. Like when I was working through my deepest inner critic, I was like, how do you show up with like low self-worth? And I was like, it was very, very uncomfortable to confront. So by the time we got to the like lip sync activities, and for, just like listeners who are new to this podcast or just listening about this retreat, we did this activity called like the lip sync, and it was an embodiment session. What word do we want to put to that?
Exercise.
Yeah, an embodiment exercise, and it was the last day, like the last hour of the retreat that we were assigned this activity. And I remember thinking like as we were all being designated like our assignments that it seemed like there was a lot of intention and thought that went into it. Like it seemed like it was specific to that person, like wherever there was we weren't showing up fully or we were kind of hiding. I don't know if you guys want to share like what your lip sync assignments
Yeah.
were.
Mine
Well, I definitely.
was mine was I don't give a fuck because I cared a lot what people thought about me. And so Ashley was like, I want you to embody like I don't give a fuck about what people think.
Mine was you are a badass attorney and you're in I don't know if it was oh yeah, you're inviting everyone onto your private jet.
Yeah. I loved both of your guys' performances.
Yeah, so eh, she basically took like the culmination of the whole weekend.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how I mean, I know that she knows all of us because she's worked with all of us, but like, I don't know how she tuned in so acutely to what we were processing, but she basically took everything from the whole weekend that we were like moving through and then what we were trying to embody and like get out of this retreat. And that's what we had to perform was like this new identity of ourselves. But how did she know what we all needed to embody? Like it's
Yeah.
to me.
I
Yeah.
don't
Anyways,
know, but Megan, I remember when we were sitting in a circle like on the floor of this like vortex. We're literally on a vortex in Sedona, like doing this hike. We're sitting on the red rocks, and Ashley's giving us our assignments. And I saw you because we connected like really well on that trip. And you were just like sitting there, like, I feel like you were like, oh shit, I know she's got something for me. Like, I know, like, you had this like anticipation of like, I know she's got something for me. And so what did she tell you? Like, what was your assignment?
Yeah, I mean, Ashley was like already Ashley likes to play with my edges a lot. Like she
She's
likes
your
to
expander. She's
she
your
likes to
expander.
watch me get very uncomfortable. And like she
By the
would
way, I distinctly remember your face when she told you your.
I wish I knew what I looked like when that happened because I don't know, did I was it
You
obvious?
looked like you looked like a little pissed off
Yeah. Yeah.
and a little terrified, but more pissed off than anything. Like you
Yeah.
looked like F you, like
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because just a little bit of context, like I've been working with Ashley like in a facilitator training, and she knew that I struggled with performance anxiety, and this is a performance, and it was a very vulnerable performance. So the assignment I got was, Megan, you're an exotic dancer on OnlyFans, and so like what immediately hit me was like, oh shit, like I need to show the fuck up, you know what I mean? And I was like exhausted. Like we had been releasing all weekend. So I think that makes sense why I was like I looked angry or pissed off because I was like frustrated because I was like, this is gonna require a lot of effort. Like, oh, I have to like turn on the sexy now. Like
is that what you want to
like
see?
I'm like, you know, and then but it was immediately met with like a ton of fear. And like so we had like, I don't know, like another 30-minute walk back to our cars after we had met at the Vortex, and we had a few hours to kind of figure out how we wanted to put together our performance. And so like on that walk back, I was like, I could feel like a lot of emotions bubbling up, and I felt like I was going to start
Yep.
crying, and I was like,
You were dead silent.
I was panicking. I was like, oh my God, like it just it I immediately was like filled with ick and shame, and I was like, oh my God, why is this like such a big deal? Like we've been we've been playing with our edges this whole weekend. Like, yeah, I could like dance sexy for the group. But it was just causing like so much conflict within me. And so like I spent the next couple hours kind of unpacking that. And like what really came up for me was um that it felt almost too familiar. Like I was like, oh, I've done this before, and it's something that I've like no, I was never let me clarify, I was never an exotic dancer. But, like, you know, I I say this in, like, in the other podcast, and even the way that I introduced the performance is like, yeah, I was one of those girls that would, like, go to the strip club with, like, their guy friends and be like, "Oh, like, I need male validation, like, I wanna, like, be sexy too, like, look at me." And
Mhm.
so it felt almost too familiar, like, I was afraid that if I went through this this experience the way that they had prompted it, that it was going to trigger like a traumatic response. Like I thought I would be
Mm.
like, you know, yeah, I would just have a panic attack or like ball in front of you all. But I was like, I feel like I need to work through this. And I knew enough at the time about shame and how I felt about my body to know that like I really need to work through this in order to have like reclaim my confidence and at some point allow myself to be seen in my business. And so I made like a very intentional decision to work through it my way. And so instead of, you know, dancing like an exotic dancer for the group, I kind of explained this context to the group. We were also asked to bring a prop, and I basically explained like this is something I want to work through. I have like the body I exist in today is a result of a lot of years of shame and um and hiding, and I want to confront this, but instead of performing for you all like you want to, because I want to be accepted and validated by you, I was like, I really need to do this for myself. And the only way I can think to accomplish this is to just sit with myself in front of this mirror. But since the prompt is exotic dancer, I'm also going to undress and take in myself like in my underwear, but in front of you all. Um, and then of course, since it's a lip sync, we had to select a song. So I picked the song "Try" by Colby Calais, which is just a lot about like it's a lot of about validation and do you like yourself, and you don't have to try so hard. And so it was very, very like, what's the word I'm looking for? was very appropriate for the experience that I was working through. So I'll stop there because I want to get too wordy, but if you guys want to add any context to your
Yeah.
I
experience.
I think for me, like being able to witness something that, I mean, obviously it was a very vulnerable experience for you, but allowing us to witness that was so profound for all of us. And I don't think that I mean, I don't know that you understood how profound it was going to be for us to sit there and bear witness to it, because this was certainly something that was an intimate moment for you with your, I mean, you were looking in the mirror. I don't know if you explained what you were doing, but you were sitting there looking in the mirror, but um and you weren't looking at anyone else. You were literally just looking at yourself. And that in and of itself is such a vulnerable practice, to be able to witness yourself and then to allow us to witness it. I mean, all of us were just in tears. And
Yeah.
I think allowing us to be in that space it felt like a gift, at least for me. Like it felt like I got so much out of it. Um, I think everybody got so much out of it, really, just watching you literally just sit there and like process what you needed to process, and doing so in a vulnerable state. I think just we got so much out of it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you added that extra context because it very much felt like I was unmasking. And for those people who have not really done a lot of mirror work, including me at the time, it's really confronting to sit there with yourself in the mirror and just really take a look at yourself and allow, like, I wasn't performing, you know what I mean? And I really wanted to perform and be accepted by everyone. And I was literally just sitting there, like giving you guys nothing, except just like sitting with myself. But it felt very empowering for me.
It was like copy paste everything Natalie P said. And also, what I think it did for me, like, yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Natalie. It was a gift. It gave us permission to be like, damn, if she can do that, so can we. If she can look at herself in the eyes in this mirror, which, to add a little humor, by the way, the prop was you took it, you took the mirror off the wall from our Airbnb.
I did. I was like, oh, like I need a big ass mirror.
Which was the best. And we're all like, what is she doing with that mirror?
Because I was like mute, like basically
Yeah.
before, like leading up to the performances, like I didn't say, I think we had kind of briefly talked about like, oh, what's your performance gonna
Yeah.
be? And I was like so mute about
You
it.
shut down.
I was afraid of changing my mind, but I also didn't want any input at all.
Mhm.
Because I knew that it would change how I felt about it. Like if someone was like, "Are you sure?" Or like I
Yeah.
was like, I don't need more shame at this moment. Like,
Yeah. No, you did a
Yeah,
really good job of protecting your energy and just like
yeah,
trusting your intuition and being like, this is what I need and I'm gonna do what I need. Like fuck the fuck the exercise and the assignment I was giving. I'm doing what is going to help me. And actually, in turn, it just helped everyone because it gave
yeah.
us permission to just be like, wow, like it was so empowering. Like, that's the word to use. Like, it was just so empowering to watch that. And all of us were just on the floor bawling, like, could not stop crying. And then, fast forward to Florida. So this was just a
but
few weeks ago. Did you have something else,
can I,
Natalie?
yeah,
Yeah.
can I touch back really quickly?
Yeah.
So a couple things that I want to mention. Number one, Megan, uh, you know what? I mean, I'm sure that you guys have seen like a UFC fight or like a boxing match on pay-per-view. And like, you know, when they're behind like the stage, like before they're going to come out and they're like, you know, like shadow boxing, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
that's what your energy was. Like you literally were like, I'm going to fuck this shit up. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you weren't like talking to anyone, you weren't looking at anyone. And like from the moment that she said it, you just like went in, like in.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's like the energy I felt. And then, but then of course we had to get into the room and sit down and then wait and watch
Yeah.
everybody, like other people do their skits or their exercises, right? Like then you have to sit there with that energy, and you were still just like so game on. And like I'm not like I don't consider myself a very empathic person, but I totally picked up on your energy, and I was like, what is going to happen when Megan goes? But
Because, like,
I
I think
also
everyone
wanted
knew
to
it was, like,
mention,
a little bit, like, risque, and then I think I even started, like, pre-crying, like, because we had to, like, send the music over ahead of time,
Mm.
and, oh, shoot, I forgot her name. Her name's also Ashley, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ashley.
Ashley, like, right before she was like I was giving her my music, and she was like, "Are you okay? Like, you don't have to go." And I was like, "I have to do this for myself."
Yeah. You had a few people give you outs. A few
Yeah,
people were like, "You're a grown-ass
yeah.
adult, you do not have to do this if you don't want to."
yeah.
But, you know, I think people were reading your energy as more like one of 2 things. One was like what Natalie just said, like, "I'm fucking gonna rock this shit." Like, I am, like, all in, like, that kind of energy, and the other energy that, like, I think, like, I thought was that you were just really nervous. Like, you
Yeah,
were and that actually was neither of the energy. Like, the energy was like, "Oh, I'm about to go do this thing for me
Mhm,
and
yeah,
actually, like,
mhm,
follow my intuition and not do what everyone's telling me to do."
yeah,
mhm.
So
yeah, yeah. I
I
per
also wanted to mention that, like, so as Megan said, this was like the very last exercise that we did. And we had done, I mean, just to name a few of the things, like we had done goddess yoga, and where that's like a lot of feminine embodiment and movement. And we had done breath work, right? Shamanic breath work, which I had never done. That fucked me up.
yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if I could cuss on your
Oh, yeah.
podcast.
Curse away.
Um, done a lot of journaling, a lot of embodiment work, the exercise with the dick. And so we were done. Like we had gone on
Done.
a hike, we had meditated, like we were all done. And they were like, okay, now you have to do this one last exercise. And we all threw a full on hissy fit. Like every single one of us were like, I don't want to do this. Like I'm done. Like I think one girl literally just left. Like she
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, nope, like I'm out.
We were spent.
I,
Yeah,
Spent.
we were energetically drained, we were emotionally drained. I don't think one of us had one single tear left to cry, yet we bawled, in our last experience. And so enter like that energy also of all, like all of us grown ass adults throwing a hissy fit, walking into the last exercise like we don't fucking want to do this, and we approached Ashley and we're like, we don't want to do this, like we don't, we're done. And she was like, I mean, I think at first she was like, you guys are doing this. And then she was like, okay, you don't want to do it. You don't have to do it. And I think everybody ended up doing it, which was profound. But
Mhm.
that, like, I think everybody in that group was like, hard no, you
yeah.
Yeah.
know?
I mean, what better space to play than, like, way past your edge, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
That really was. And then at the end, like, it ended up being a really good thing. Like, we all were so happy we did it. Like, I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad I did it. And remember at the end, we were like all in a circle saying, like, doing our last song,
the
singing with
angel
each
circle?
other. Yeah, oh, that was so special. And then she was like, okay, and the quantum expansion is complete. And like none of us wanted to leave. And we were, and then she was like, well,
We're
wait,
like,
you
okay.
actually have to go.
You actually have to leave
And
now,
she's
yeah.
like, my time is, I've paid, I'm paid up. You guys got to get out of this space.
Yeah. But it was so funny. Like, that's how good of a retreat it was, where we were like, we went, Megan, I think you said this on the boat, to the depths of the depths of the depths of the darkness.
Oh my god, yeah, we were there.
And
We were
we
there.
still didn't want to leave because we were like, oh, this is just so good. Um, so yeah, fast forward to this trip in Florida, the second expansion retreat we went on. It felt very different. And I think the 3 of us were chatting about, like, firstly, Ashley's intention for the retreats were very different. The first one was about, like, both were embodiment, both were expansion. The one in Sedona, though, I vividly remember her saying, "Get ready to crack open."
Mhm.
And then this one in Sedona, or I'm sorry, in Florida, was about play and pleasure and receiving. And so the intention was very different. And um it felt very different. I don't know about you
Hmm.
guys, but I was nervous to go. I had gone out to dinner with, Emily, my business partner before, 'cause she also went to the retreat, And she was like, "Are you excited?" And I'm like, "I am, and I'm also like really nervous." And she was like, "Why?" And I'm like, "You'll just have to find out." Like,
I
and
told my husband the same thing. I was like, I'm equally as excited and terrified to go to this to
yeah,
this second retreat.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't terrifying at all. It was really great, and it was kind of nice to just be like, "Oh my god, I can just receive. I don't have to do this." And Megan, you said something like um, on the boat that really resonated with me. And it was about how this realization that transformation doesn't always have to be this really deep, like painful experience. It can be light and it can be fun and it can be pleasure. And so I don't know, when you said that, I received that, like, it resonated so much, and I was like, "Yeah, it can be. Why do we feel like it always has to be hard?"
Hmm.
And then I thought about it and I was like, "But maybe we had to go through that hard part." Because there were other women on the retreat who also were saying that they had on this retreat in Florida, who were saying that they had really deep transformations on this trip. Um, and I think because we had that experience in Sedona, it was very different. So yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts on like both of your thoughts on the differences and sort of why you think it was different.
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in first. It was a lot different than Sedona, and I didn't bother to read what the one in Florida was about at all. I was like ready. I was prepared to like put in work. Like
Mhm.
I had just left an 8-year relationship, and I was like, I got shit I need to like heal. Like let's go. Like and so when and I'm going to say confronted because I was actually having confronting feelings about receiving. And that's why I meant like healing isn't always loud or violent like we had experienced before. um, because I was having a hard time being in this receiving energy at a like, pleasure and receiving themed retreat. I was having a lot of guilt about like, did I earn this? I came here to do more work. Um, and it was like things that were coming up for me was like guilt or like, am I being irresponsible or I haven't worked hard enough to receive this yet. And like that was something I needed to sit with as well. And I was like, oh wow, like who knew that like all this luxury was gonna trigger me?
Oh my
But
gosh.
since then, like it was just me what I've what I walked away from and what's been thematic for me over the last couple months is how much trust it takes to receive and like not trying to control and that there's not always a like a repercussion or like a what's it's not always going to be reciprocal, like I can just receive it. I don't have to give something in return.
Right.
Um so yeah, I'll stop there before we yeah.
That's so powerful though. Truly. What about you, Natalie? Anything come up for as to why you think it was different this time around?
Um, well, I mean, like we said, I was ready to put in some work too. Like I was coming knowing like, okay, I'm ready to do some hard shit again. And I think because we had gotten so much out of it that I was like, even though it was, I wouldn't say traumatic because that sounds so dramatic, but it was a lot of work and I was like ready to do the work again because of what we had gotten out of it. Um, I think for me, I didn't really take a lot of time to like sit and reflect on the transformation that had occurred in Sedona. And I think majority of us came home from Sedona. Like it wasn't like we came home and like the doors opened and doves, like, and all our lives were like, just easy or better in that sense, you know. But I think all of us came home and like dropped in just a little bit more. Like, I think the universe was like, okay, now that you did all that, like, let's just like, just one more little turn of the dial. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure that all of us kind of had experienced something like that. It wasn't like we came home and it was like flooded with clients and money and love and all the thing. It was just like one more little,
Yeah.
twist of the knife. And you know, and, and so I think like, you know, I hadn't taken the time to reflect on Sedona and to really reflect on like how far I had come in that regard because I think, we dropped into something. But Natalie, what you said on the boat that I think kind of sparked this conversation and really has stuck with me like over and over, when we were talking about other women's experiences and for us being like, not to downplay anyone's experience at all, but for us, it wasn't as transformational in the sense of like, what some of the other women were experiencing in Florida. And you were like, maybe we've changed. Maybe it's because we've experienced something and we really did leave things in Sedona. And now we are coming to this work, to these practices in a different way, as a new person, in a new experience, in a new light, right? Like we've evolved.
Mhm.
And it really didn't, I never even thought about that, to be completely honest. I just was like, you, I don't know, you like go on these retreats and you come home and it's like life happens again and you kind of like lose sight of that. And so you saying that really impacted me in the sense of like, oh shit, I really did go through some stuff and I really did evolve and I really am I'm experiencing this in a different way. And
Mhm.
maybe that's why it felt lighter because there wasn't as much to process, because we had already gone through so much processing. Um, but this, and I think I said this before, like this felt like a buildup, whereas Sedona felt like a breakdown.
Yeah.
And thank God it happened in the order that it did.
Yeah. Oh, truly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, that's why what I think it was. I do, and it took me, I feel like that time from Sedona to Florida and literally being on that boat with you guys to be talking about the differences between the two retreats and our experiences and realizing like, wow, we have all changed so much and like truly stepped into these versions of ourselves who we wanted to be. So like in Sedona, like we were like, we want to be this person. And like now we are this person, which is so crazy. And it was like so also just powerful to see the other women who had been in Sedona, like you two, and there were two other women on the retreat too, also embodying that.
Mm-hmm.
Like just so incredible to witness and see the journeys of everyone. And now I'm looking at these other women who did not go on the Sedona retreat, but went on this retreat. And I'm excited to see what their transformations look like and what they're going to show up at the next retreat looking like, what their lives are going to look like. Because we did do some really powerful things. One of the things that I noticed through that manifestation exercise that we did, where we were writing down all of the things that we wanted to manifest. Again, Megan, I think you said this and it really resonated with me. And I haven't stopped thinking about it, which is holy shit. Like, I actually have so much of what I want to manifest. It may not look like it in the exact way that I had like envisioned it, how my brain had like put it like mapped it out for me, but I have so much of it. And so like to stop and like smell the fucking roses every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like enjoy what you've manifested because what you're living now is literally what you manifested in the past.
Yeah.
So that was so powerful.
The the theme being like, you know, pleasure and receiving was also about presence
Mhm.
and yeah, like taking a step back and recognizing what in our lives like already are in alignment or that we've manifested, like that was very apparent for me. Like, and you're right, like looking at the girls from specifically the ones that were in Sedona that were now in West Palm Beach, like everyone just felt so much lighter. Like I know this. I don't want to take this like another path, but like the amount of changes that have happened for these women, like post Sedona, is insane. Like I've seen so many. Like you quit your corporate job. I left an 8-year relationship. We've got a good mutual friend of ours that like also left her job and is like selling her house and like doing big ass things. Like I feel like everyone is. It's just like the power of releasing and like that what this
Mhm.
work can really do for you.
Yeah, it's so cool. Okay, so we do have to talk about your incredible facilitation skills, Megan. So, the mirror work that you did for Natalie and I and everyone else in Sedona, well, for yourself, but it was a gift for all of us. You then truly did gift it to us in Florida. So, how did that come about? And explain it to the listeners.
Yeah, this is actually when I really recognize like how much I've up leveled in the last 6 months, especially like post Sedona. But like a week prior to um Florida, Ashley had sent me a voice note and she was like, I just can't stop thinking about the experience that you had in Sedona. Like, how can we recreate this for like the other participants? And she was like, she like, totally, you don't have to do this, but like, of course, I really want you to. So like, she's like, do you think
You're
that you
doing
can?
it.
Like, she's up in those DMs, like, hey, just checking back. Are you gonna? Like, she definitely like sold me hard on it. She's like, I will help you like co-create it. Like, I think like I want, She's like, this is a great opportunity for you to step into your facilitation skills, like embody like your retreat leader. And I was like, okay, cool. So, and it was funny because like Ashley was very busy because it was like a week prior to the retreat. And so she went a little bit dark on me. And in times past, like my, you know, former performance anxiety, just a lot of anxiety in general, I would have used that as an excuse to be like, hey, Ashley, I don't think I can do it, But she like was ripping off the training wheels for me, like she was like, you're gonna do it, it's gonna be great. And so I knew something like had really, really changed within me because I very much approached this session like if it works out, great. If not, great. Like I've never experienced that like level of detachment before. And even I was like putting together like the music like the morning of. So I'll explain now how I kind of recreated the mirror experience for the group. So this is gonna be sorry. That's the best way to explain this.
You're beautiful. We don't say we're sorry. You're
I'm never
beautiful.
sorry. I'm just always beautiful. Um, yeah, so I guess a little bit about the session itself was I walked the group through a visualization exercise, something that's not new to us QCA grads. And it included a little bit of like a timeline experience. So in the visualization, I had everyone imagine or identify a label or identity that they've carried with them since childhood that is maybe not a positive experience. So, like, I'm unlovable or I'm annoying, like a label that they've carried with them for their entire life. And I had them visualize, like, when they first attached to that label and walk them through this experience where their current self went back in time and gave, like, their inner child the words that they needed to hear at that moment. Um, but also along the timeline up until their adulthood now. So we stopped like in their teenage years and their early adulthood, all with kind of like similar but different messages for like that period of time in your life. And it kind of ends with this visualization of yourself in the middle of a circle, with all the earlier versions of yourself, and you're like giving them love and telling them words of affirmation that they need to hear. And there's like an integration period. But in order to kind of give everyone like the similar mirror experience that I had in Sedona, when I brought everyone out of the visualization, Ashley and I decided um, that we needed to have them use the mirror. So there was a surprise mirror at the end of everyone's mat at the end of the visualization, and we took a moment to have everyone sit with themselves and listen to the same Colby Calais try song that I did as well. And so I feel like, especially for like my Sedona girlies, this was especially emotional for y'all, or like anyone who had like was kind of familiar with the experience. Um, and after the sitting with the mirror moment, I had everyone share with the group what they needed to hear as an inner child. But instead of sharing it to the group, this is something I've done in circling. It's a very intimate way to experience this is to share it to the person to your left, but deliver it to them like it's intended for them, even though the message was meant for you. And you'll be surprised how often other people need to hear what you need to hear yourself. And so it was very, very emotional to see um, people receive those messages from each other. And then we kind of just wrapped up the experience with a little girl huddle where we're like swaying and singing to each other. And it just felt like such a full circle moment for me. And um, yeah, it was really, really cool to facilitate. I walked away being like, yeah, this is what I was meant to do.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it was so powerful. When you got the well, firstly, when Ashley was like, "And we have a special guest." I forget how she like introduced you. As soon as she said it was you, I was like, "Oh fuck, here we go." Like, get ready for the waterworks cuz like I just knew I didn't know exactly what was coming, but I was like, "Oh my god." Like I was already getting emotional knowing that it was you, and then, like, every part of, like every step of that whole exercise that you were walking us through, I just continually got more and more, like, emotional. I even feel like I locked eyes with you and I was like, "Oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, you're not going there. You are not going there." Because I was like, "Oh, shit, here we go." So
Well, we know that, like, Ashley loves surprises, so she was very much like, "Don't tell anyone this is
yeah.
happening." Like,
Yeah,
she was
I know you. She said it was you, and I was like, why didn't you tell me?
she couldn't wait for it to be like, "Hey, guys, like, Megan's gonna
Yeah.
facilitate this next session." Like, she's such a good mentor, like I said. She knows exactly what I need, and she puts me in
Yeah.
positions to play with my edges, and yeah, it's a gift in itself.
Yeah. She's an expander.
She
I think
is.
it was really cool too, because like for all of us that had been to Sedona, like I think all of us knew the coaching transformation that you were on. And I was really excited when she said that it was you because I was like, I get to cheer my sister on. You know what I
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean? And I get to like experience that. I'm going to get emotional, but like to watch you be able to do that and really step into like your coaching like version of you or whatever is like that was incredible in and of itself. And I was like so honored to be there to be like, hell yeah, like she's gonna do it. I know it's gonna be great. And then you let it. And then I was like in it. And now I had a whole other experience, you know what I mean? And like that was so cool. And it was just like I said, it was just really cool to cheer you on, you know, and to be a part of that experience. And I want to know, how did you think of that exercise? Like I'm still so like blown away that you could take your experience to Jonah and like transform it for all of us. Like what made you, how did you come up with that?
Yeah. To be honest, I had experienced something similar before, not identical. Like we do not transformation timeline. We do a lot of like timeline work in QCA where you're going back and like correcting your limiting beliefs about yourself earlier in stages. And it just felt like the perfect tool because I was like, I wasn't sure how to have you guys embody it. I wanted to take you on a journey. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
I personally shed quite a few labels in that whole exercise that you facilitated, and I actually felt a lot lighter. And
Yeah.
I can wholeheartedly say, like, there were blocks that were cleared for sure. So it was magical.
So
Yeah.
cool to hear.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier, like, we were like intended, like, we, we were intended to be like at Sedona. And like, for me, this opportunity to facilitate this session was like, this is why I'm here in Florida. And like,
Yeah.
but also like they said, the takeaways like of this receiving energy that I've been desiring for a really long time, and recognizing that like I'm not very good at receiving. There's a lot of resistance there. And I was like
Mhm.
confronting that the whole
Mhm.
time.
That's amazing. That's growth work, like, for sure.
Yeah.
So Ah, so good. Oh my God. I just feel so grateful to have experienced both of those retreats with both of you and to have shared in so many of those experiences and witnessed each other. And it's just been incredible. Like, I feel so, so grateful to have had that experience with you both.
Same,
Same,
same.
same.
What was
Okay.
your guys' biggest takeaway from the second
Ooh,
retreat?
from the second.
Or like, I don't know, anything that's come up since then?
My whole thing was support. Like I know that you talk about receiving, like it's hard for me too. Um, I so Natalie and I did a coaching session earlier today and we talked a lot about this, but I just feel like I'm so masculine all the time, like in my job and even like the role of being a mother is a very masculine role. Like you're taking care of other people, you're keeping them in line, like you're making sure that they're brushing their teeth and doing the things they're supposed to do, and I really walked away from Florida um, intending to receive support and exactly in a way that I don't have to reciprocate it, right? Like, because I'm worthy of that. And I don't have to do it all, even though, let's be honest, I probably could, but like, I don't have to. I don't like to either. Like, just because I do it all doesn't mean I like to do it all. Um, and, what I was sharing with Natalie earlier was that um, the ability to receive support and to acknowledge that I am worthy of support and that I need the support has allowed support just to like come into my life. Like my daughter's been offering to help. Like my husband, like he is very helpful, but he's been like more helpful, and like I was sharing, I was sweeping our garage. We and our neighbors across the way have a garage. Our garages face each other, and their little girls were out playing with my kids, and I was sweeping the garage and their little girl came up to me and she's like 4 and she was like, Can I help you sweep? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Where normally I'd be like, oh, it's okay, go play. You know what I mean? But it's like all these little like I've manifested so much support in my life since then. Um, that's been like the biggest takeaway for me is like feeling the worthiness of receiving it and allowing it to fill a void so that I can have more pleasure and play in my life. And that's kind of been the biggest takeaway for me. And also like again, not to link it back to Sedona, but like all roads lead to Sedona leads back to Sedona. But allowing all that shedding in Sedona, I wouldn't have had the capacity to receive as much support if I didn't have that void from letting go of all the shit that I let go of in Sedona. Like I wouldn't have had the space in like energetically in my body. I would have had that buzzing still going. I would have been like, and that buzzing made me do more, made me want to like fill. And so like that whole void has allowed the receiving to come in.
I love that. We all made space to receive.
Yes. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
What about you,
that
Natalie?
that was one of the big themes for me actually was just spaciousness and creating space. And I'm I'm the type of person that can just go, 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 and like do all the things until my body is just like pump the brakes, halt, like literally will shut down. I'll either get sick or I'll just get really tired and I'll completely shut down. And so the theme that kept coming up in Sedona, firstly, was this version of me that's showing up online, like on social media and stuff, is a part of me. It's not all of me. And how do I get comfortable with showing up fully? And part of that is owning that I am a spiritual woo woo person. And for some reason, I have not been able to really show that on Instagram or TikTok or whatever platform because I was still worried about what people thought and because I was like still in this autopilot mentality. Like, yes, I had left corporate, which was me breaking free from those chains of like being like, this is what people said I need to do. And there's still part of me that's doing what people are saying I need to do. And when I went to Florida, there were a few things that I recognized like that I was doing, one of which was creating a course, a group program that was not something I wanted to do right now. I think at some time in the future, there will be a time where I'll want to do that. For right now, that's not what I want to do. And I was still doing it because I'm like, well, this is what everyone needs to do. And in that retreat, I realized like, no, I get to do what brings me fun, pleasure, and where I feel like I can lean into play. And truly, what that is like being with my kids, slowing down. I don't like going, 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 going. So why am I going, 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 going? So like it really allowed me and to be like accepting of that version of me.
Yeah.
You know, like I had not previously accepted the fact that I can be a different version of me that isn't on the go 24/7. And so creating the space, the theme of presence, I think we
Mhm.
touched on that on this episode, but it was like just the power of being present is that was in and of itself like a major takeaway for me.
Yeah.
So
What I'm
yeah,
hearing from you is like you don't need to perform to receive, you don't need to hustle to receive, like you're
totally.
inherently worthy of it. And
Yes.
yeah, that's so powerful. And I feel like several others were in that energy too. Like it was funny, there was like this kind of almost like brat energy we were bringing to some of the exercises. Like and I say that like lovingly because I like Sedona Ashley was like, no, you have to go through this. You need to, it's your medicine, where there was a lot more like room for interpretation on this in this retreat. And I feel like a lot of us were like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
And it
owning
was
that
so
too.
yes, and like owning that that was the what you wanted to get from the experience, and that
Yes.
like you weren't going to perform or please anyone so that they felt comfortable. Like you just that's what you needed in that moment. And I saw so many women just really like, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Totally. Oh my god, and it was
Agreed.
empowering for sure. To be like, "This is okay. This is actually okay that I'm not gonna do this or that I'm going to choose this."
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so that was an incredible conversation. Like, truly, thank you both for going through that with me and just reflecting on those 2 experiences. And we could talk for hours longer about about it because it truly was so powerful. So just to the listeners, if you have the opportunity to go on one of Ashley's quantum expansion experience retreats, like do it because it's
Do it.
obviously life-changing. So,
Hmm.
but before we wrap, I want to ask you guys a few rapid fire closing questions.
Oh no.
They're fun. They're fun. Remember, we're leaning into pleasure and play and fun. So,
Okay.
what is a word or mantra that you're carrying into this next season?
Mm, the mantra I've been really leaning into recently is what I desire is my destiny.
Ooh, I love that. That's amazing. What about you, Natalie?
I just have been coming back to just the pleasure and play. Like, I know this sounds silly, but just reminding myself, like, I don't have to be so damn serious all the time. Like, it's okay to just have a little fun. Not that I'm like, that makes me sound horrible. I am a
No.
fun person, but like reminding myself, like, okay, be present and just play and just enjoy yourself a little bit. Like, I don't have to check all the boxes every single day, all the time.
Totally. And you don't sound like a horrible person.
Awful.
I'm like robotic.
No, I feel like that's most women, which
Yeah.
is why Ashley
Yeah.
did this like theme because she knows so many women like have this deep desire to be playful and to create this receive pleasure because we truly have been ingrained and taught in society to just go 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 go. We've got to be serious, we've got to take care of the kids, we've got to go get our degree and do this job and like clean the house and all the things. And so I love that for you.
I don't know if this resonates with you guys, but I feel like honestly, the like playing for me is working out so much better than like working.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how the
Mhm.
opportunities come about too. Like that's how the I don't even know, the cards fall into place is when you're playing. And then it's like, oh my gosh, this opportunity just landed in my lap because I was having fun doing it.
Yeah. Play is,
So,
Yeah.
like, inherently, like, an open, receptive energy, and there's, like, no detachment, like, you're just curious.
so good.
Yeah. Well, and I've noticed too, like, I've been the amount that I've been allowing myself to like have pleasure and play really brings more support so that I don't have to like hustle. And then all of a sudden my husband's like, "Oh, do you want me to throw in some laundry?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." Then I don't have to. Like, why am I hustling all the time to like do all this when if I could just play and chill, like he'll end up doing it or
Yes.
someone will apparently.
Amazing. I love it. Okay. What's one thing you would tell your past self before attending their first retreat?
I
I mean,
mean,
I
besides to just go.
You what? What'd you say?
Besides to just go
Oh,
and do it, right? Like,
yes.
Megan, what were you
yeah,
gonna
I
say?
was just gonna say, uh, like, run for your edges, like, lean in. I definitely went with the intention to lean in, but I would give myself that same advice because, like, why else are you going?
Totally. If
Yeah.
you're going to go, you might as well get the most out of it.
Mhm.
For sure. I love that. Okay. And last question. I ask everyone on the podcast this, but what is something you're currently working on that's lighting you up from the inside out?
Mm. I can go first. This facilitating these, like, it's called, like, authentic relating or, like, relational meditation. It's a completely different way to connect with other humans. Like, when we show up, we're speaking from an emotional point. We're not telling our stories. We're not adding context. We're just noticing and approaching conversations via our feelings, and it's so liberating, it's so nourishing, and I feel so connected with these people, and I have no idea what they do for a living, like, we're not showing up with our labels and titles. It's like, I don't know. I wanna share it with the world.
That's so cool. And I can tell like your energy too. It looks like you're lighting up when you're talking about it. That's awesome. What about you, Natalie?
I have really been leaning into just calling in these amazing clients. I have had a few clients like in the recent past that just they don't light me up. And I just really, really love when I can connect. Like I have had so many great conversations just since the Florida retreat with clients and potential clients that are doing like really, really cool things. And it just makes me feel so inspired and honored to be able to help them and support them in their businesses. And I'm just kind of like reaching through the screen and like grabbing onto that energy that they have and allowing myself to have like that kind of reciprocal energy with my clients, like allowing myself rather than to be like this like attorney client relationship, like allowing it to be like this like dance that I can have with them. And I just see them doing really cool shit and it just really lights me up and it just gets me really excited and allowing myself to be excited for them and with them has really, really been fun.
That's so cool. And I will say, as one of your clients, you are an amazing attorney to work with because I don't have to worry about anything that's happening behind the scenes with my trademark. And I genuinely like what you're saying as far as like supporting and cheering on your clients and being excited for them when they have a trademark that's approved or finalized. I don't know the correct legal terminology, but I feel that as your client. Like, I feel that you're genuinely excited, and that is something that I don't know a lot of people feel with their attorney. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your hearts, your journey. I know that the listeners here are going to take away so much. They're going to feel seen, they're going to be heard. So let me know how they can stay connected with you, how they can follow you, how they can be in your world.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Hey Megan Liken, though I've been more recently um, active on Threads. So still the same username. I'm just a lot more vocal um and expressive on Threads.
I love it. Oh, I love your thread so much. Like, it gives me life every day. I love it.
Thank you.
You guys can just find me on Instagram. I'm just at Natalie Puglisi.
Awesome. And I will link to all of that in the show notes. And thank you both again. I love you both so much. And I know this conversation is going to expand so many women. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Light Her Up. I hope you're feeling inspired and ready to take steps towards a life better than you ever dreamed. I see you, I hear you, and I'm so proud of you for showing up and prioritizing your journey. When you fill up your cup with love, you can pour so much more into the people and passions that matter to you most. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you subscribed, left a review, and shared it with someone who could use a little extra light. For more, check out our weekly 5-minute meditations or connect with me on Instagram at The Light Within Collective. I'm sending you my love, and I'll catch you on the next episode.